do that. Hey, everybody, it's Jeanette Bradley. Happy Halloween. Hopefully, you'll hear no doorbells and trick or treat, but we decided to get on tonight anyway to talk about some issues that are relevant to Black folks before the election, which is in about a year. So, next November, tomorrow, November 1st, next November 6th, we're going to be voting in the election for presidency. And that's something that Black folks in America need to take seriously. So, the name of this show is What is the Ask? If we vote collectively, what are we asking for as Black people in America? So what's going on? Several things are going on. If I could bring the panel on and do a quick introduction of the panel here in Tampa. As I mentioned, I'm Jeanette Bradley, and I am the host for the show. Joining me tonight in Tampa is Mona Judge, who is a local entrepreneur and very opinionated. And we just reached right on up. We reach right up to my homeboys in Atlanta, both coming to me in my life at different points, but having had such influence, I had to just call them up and said, "Hey, I want to talk about issues, and I know we don't always agree necessarily, but I trust what you are saying." So Albert Fields, a transplant actually, because he used to live down here in Tampa. He's in Atlanta. And Alton Drew, my fellow Florida State Noel trustee, wearing that FSU hat every single show. So this is the team tonight, and we're going to talk about a few things. But before we get to the 14th Amendment, that's being Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that is being used to block Trump from being on the ballot in several states, Colorado being one that is definitely hitting the news. I'm going to do a quick fire and get you guys to. Mike Pence is suspending his run for the presidency. He's at 4%. What do you guys think about that? It's barely a blip, but I thought it's worth mentioning because for some reason, Homeboy thought after being um, threatened for a lynching by his own president that he could actually run for president within the MAGA party. Any thoughts on that?
Mike Pence. Well, first, when I saw it on television, I said, "Who?" And then I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, Mike, yeah, okay." I think it sends a signal to it sends a signal to the establishment that um, that they can only go so far when it comes to fielding candidates. For president, Pence is not it. Um, yeah, he's conservative, but he's still establishment. He's not radical enough. He's not out there banging the table saying lower taxes. He's not out there saying we got to blow up everybody that's not American around the globe. Let's just drop bombs. He's not doing that. And also, given that my interests are leaning more toward the economy, he doesn't say much about the economy. Him, like the other 98.55% of people in Washington, do not understand what they sit on. And he does not give me any impression that he understands government's responsibility for the bond market, government's indirect responsibility for inflation, none of that. He just talks in those school rock house metaphors that most of these guys speak in, and when they start talking, I just block them out because like I've been studying this thing off and on for 40 years. You guys don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Why are you guys in Washington? So, but
does
to
Pence
close
have
it
a
out,
hard?
He hangs his hat on the Bible. I mean, he also
Hold
talks
on.
in a very.
I got a question. Does he have a heartbeat? I've never seen him raise any kind of energy level when
No,
he speaks, I look at him and go like, "Is that
because
some
he's
kind of
afraid of screwing around on his wife.
no energy,
Okay, I didn't know you were going to
no
go there,
level?"
but
I just want him. I just want him to speak like he really believes what he's reading.
Yeah,
That's part of the thing for him.
yeah,
I mean, I've never thought, like I said, he was even alive. I had to blink a couple of times.
right.
So him dropping out is like Alton said. Really, when did he get
You know,
in? Larry Elder, by the way, dropped out also for the Republicans.
I
So
saw that. I saw that,
yeah,
but I didn't even know Larry Elder was in.
see what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's
yeah,
that. So there you got freaking Frack both dropping out about the same time.
yeah.
Okay, so that lets you know where both of them are in terms
Mhm.
of having a sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
my, yeah, my boy was good the other night. Trump, he was saying like, what's the guy out of New Jersey that's running for president?
Christy,
Yeah, he
Christy,
said Christie can't be here tonight because Christie's somewhere eating.
You know,
that's
I
messed up.
want to talk. We can talk a
He
little
was
bit
at
about that, but
he,
is
he
it is he like
was at Taco Tuesday.
Chrissy is a witness, and can he be talking about Chrissy like that?
He didn't talk about. He just said he was somewhere eating, and then he pointed in the crowd and
Oh
said, "Hey, don't you call him fat? Don't you call
crazy.
him?" I mean, I thought, go on, Trump. You still the man. That's why I'm wearing my
Yeah,
red
he was
tonight.
talking about him. He was talking about him and somebody else being fat, but he wasn't talking about them being fat. He was talking about somebody else that were talking about them being fat, and he was telling those other people they can't talk about him that way. But
Okay,
he kept
that's
saying it was like, oh my God, he has figured that out. That's crazy. Mona,
yeah.
what's your thought? What's your thought on Pence?
Hey, Pence, I never liked him as a vice president. I found him to be very, very weak, particularly after what Trump did to him on January the 6th. And he wouldn't defend himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I happened just to run across
Mm.
it in a feed and said, oh, okay, yeah, it's awful that you were the vice president
Awful.
and you polling the worst.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, just full disclosure, I sent Larry Elder when he did a interview when he first did his first interview when they wouldn't let him be on the debate. I sent him $50, and I tell you every week I get something from him, and I had to write him and say, "Look, dude, I don't agree with one damn thing you say. I just sent you the $50 because the people wouldn't let you be on the stage. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop responding to me with
You are doomed for the rest of the year because they are
Yeah.
not going to stop sending you.
Yeah,
I think I'm not gonna-
she broke that.
when
Yeah,
he
she
when
broke
he
into that.
Yeah. So both of
yeah,
them not
yeah.
both of them are non-entities, is what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the non-entity of Pence, yep, I get it, and he walks this very religious line. But we got a new Speaker of the House. We
Mm.
got a Speaker of the House after I don't know 6 months. I don't know how long it's been since McCarthy. Um,
3 weeks, I think.
but we got a new Speaker of the House, and he is extremely religious. And some think that, well, this was the plan all along. But when you said who on Pence, most people are saying, who is this Mike
Johnson.
Johnson?
Yeah.
But Matt Gaetz is saying, calling him MAGA Mike. And he's proud of
Yes.
the fact that they have this man as speaker. So
Mm.
I got to ask you, should we be worried? I'm just talking us, we as Black folks, should we be worried? Because he's like a Trojan horse. He's as slick as they come. He looks good. He speaks as if what he's saying makes sense and is okay, but he's talking the same language. He's talking the same stuff as Jim Jordan.
Mm.
Evangelical
And
in background.
he's gonna be right.
Yes, hardcore evangelical.
Mm.
Alton, you were
Yes, he's gonna be.
Mm. Go ahead, Mona.
He's going to be what?
I say he's going to be worse and worse, worse. We have to, I don't know, counter these right wings religious people, particularly when they say they live by the Bible. That's what he says. He says, "You want to know who I am? Read the Bible."
What he says.
And I'm like, now what part of the Bible are you talking about? You guys get to pick and choose which part you want. These people are, to me, I saw something on Facebook and they asked the question, why are the religious right so afraid of everything? Have to have guns, don't really believe in God, that God's going to protect them in all of this because they are the devils.
Mm.
Because what is that? The
Mm.
answer
That's
to
where I'm
your
going.
why question?
Who's the devil?
Why are the religious
Yeah, they
right so afraid of everything? What's the answer to that?
because they see an uprise. I say they see an uprise from with us, with Hispanics, everybody. They feel they're losing. They're slipping from the top, and that's why they're going so hard. When did this religious right thing started getting like it is now? I could say I could remember maybe in the 80s, but definitely in the 90s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
time around Reagan, but if you want to talk about it, that whole evangelical thing, when they started
Yeah.
realizing after they Roe v. Wade, all of that, they started trying to figure out how to attach, used Roe v. Wade to pull in the Christian evangelicals who didn't really even have a position on it.
Yes.
They didn't really care one way or the other, and then suddenly
Nope.
it became their rallying cry. You might
Mhm.
have a little bit more history on that, Alton, to Moni's question.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Reagan wrote that moral majority thing in the summer of 1980,
Oral majority. Yep.
and he was able to he built on Barry Goldwater's 1964 Reach Out campaign to them.
Mm-hmm.
Some would argue back in '64 is when the GOP started to make a strong play for the conservative vote in the South.
Yep.
We saw,
Which was Democrat.
right, it was mostly Democrat in the South, and the South, at least the conservatives moved toward the Republican Party. Sorry, the Democrats moved to the Republican Party, but then Reagan in 1980 really built on that. But um, I like to also point out, but in the '92 election, Pat Buchanan
Oh yeah.
also touched on that. He
Hmm.
went direct for the demographics. You know, he argued
Yeah.
at the RNC convention that whites need to look out because they're becoming the minority.
Yeah.
And during the early '90s, the statistics were starting to roll out. The
Yeah.
projections were rolling out that Hispanics would be the new um, um, minority ethnic group. It would be the largest amongst the um,
Right.
non-white ethnic groups. You
Yeah.
saw falling off in population, at least birth rates for whites. So you saw all of that happening. And I heard somewhere that what you see now started 30 years ago. So that's what you're seeing. So that's where this turn, if you will, in conservatism. This is where they really went hardcore. So what we're seeing is in my opinion, the after effects of the Reagan Revolution.
Right.
Those children have grown up that were born in the early '90s,
Right.
and we hear only what we want to hear from our parents, and we're either going to hear the really sweet shit or the really hardcore stuff. And I think this is where we're at now, because real quickly, when I was recruited into the Republican Party, it was in 1998 by
Mhm.
two very young white people. I mean, these kids were barely 21 or 22. They made a good argument at the time, but I
Right.
mentioned them because they're an example of the children who heard the BS. And now they're out there populating
Yeah.
the media, controlling the narrative, putting this stuff out, and then they're seeing the real world threats around them because I was just telling somebody yesterday that I remember back in 1980 when I moved to this country, you were either white or black. If you saw Asians on campus or in Orlando, it was like little sprinkles. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
Hispanics at FSU,
Right.
they were just students. They didn't have their own organized student organizations. By the 2000s, they've got like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 student organizations at FSU alone, Hispanics. So the demographics have changed. So you have these people now looking around, and little Johnny, who's now 30-year-old Johnny and working in DC or wherever, is saying, Grandpa was right. They are here. So now, there's this pushback against Anglo. Also, lastly, Anglo culture, real WASP culture, not these trans whites. I'm talking people who can trace their roots back to the Mayflower and to jolly old England.
Yes.
Their political power started to wane in the
Right.
late 1940s and really started to drop off in the 1960s, right around the time that immigration picked up in 1965 with that immigration naturalization law back in the mid 60s. So this is what we are seeing, this divergence, and now we're seeing the result of it, and that's what they're pushing back against.
Well, but
Right. So
think
here,
about it from this. Think about it from this angle also. The first time we saw it was during the free love era back in the 60s.
Mm,
okay.
When the pendulum swung to the same side, and then everybody was saying, let's come together and let's be a part of everything. And when Martin Luther King died, let's all hug and love and let's do
Right.
kumbaya. And I told everybody, they said, well, now the kids are going to school with white kids on a regular basis, so they don't have the same feeling that we do.
mm,
I said, here's the point. White parents raise their white kids to be just like them. And so
Right.
eventually
mhm.
the hippies turn back to their parents.
Yes.
Eventually the hippies' children turn back to their parents.
Yes.
And that otherwise we wouldn't even be talking race now. If you looked at the timeline. But
Right.
what happened when it swung over there, like Alton talked about back in the 60s, then it swung back real hardcore, late
Yeah.
80s, 90s, and
Mhm.
we start chronicling how Reagan started moving the dial back this way. So it's going back to the old ways, and those young people, those babies
Yes.
who were raised by their mothers, and by the way, the mother is the one who transmits the
Yes.
whole
The
environment.
DNA. Yes.
They
Yes.
transmit the culture. Men don't even care. The men probably would have gone on about their business, but it is the white women who transmit the culture to the next generation. So now you're seeing those mothers saying, okay, it's time for you to stop playing.
Right.
Leave
But
Shantae and Kiana
Right.
alone. You better
That's
come
right.
over back here with Mary and
Yeah.
Billy.
Yes.
So
You
we
got a
can get on with our
lineage.
business.
But
You
to
got
your
a
point,
lineage to protect.
you got the Daughters of the Confederate who took over the education system. So yes.
Well, they did that in the South, but in the North, they didn't have a name called Daughters of the Confederates.
Yeah, but
They
tell
was
me
the
that-
they was the daughters of the rich and powerful.
Yeah.
They took it over up there.
Yeah.
You see, that's who ran that game, and that's how we get back to this conservative view. Conservative means I don't want to lose what I got. So what
Yeah.
you see now is they even changing the game, even though we've got the different quote unquote ethnic groups, the
Mhm.
Hispanics, the Asians, and all that. But now they're starting to get honorary passes into being white,
Yes.
so that you have a lot of Hispanics who are Republican by nature. Okay, you have some Asians who now joining in, like with that Harvard suit thing. They're joining in because they want all of the benefits that being white, be it pseudo, be it part-time, be it
Right.
new. They want all the benefits that they have become to see as very valuable to being white. See, so it's still gonna break back to black and white.
Well,
Right. So to Mona's
well,
question
Albert,
of, go ahead, Mona.
don't everyone wants to be on the winning team? Don't everyone want to be on the winning team?
That absolutely
That's
right.
how they
Yeah, and even
That's
if they
how
know
you give
to
up
win,
their culture
yeah,
and go.
even if they know that you cheating to
Yeah.
win, they still
Even if-
want that trophy, that prize.
Yeah,
True.
yeah,
So that's what you're seeing now with
Absolutely.
all of these people, because
absolutely.
in fact we're going to go so far that it's going to get us in trouble. And I'm just going to touch on that $14 billion that Biden just gave to Israel. We're going to get in trouble playing that game of conservative. We got to be white America. You see, because a lot of people now are starting to come out against it. So now the turmoil is going to come in
Yeah.
right on the edge of the economy getting ready to implode. And
Yes.
so you're going to have a whole series of things, the chaos here pretty soon, I think.
Right, but
Yeah.
to your point of young people back in our day, the 50s, the 60s, where we were free love, all of that, and the movement that was going on then, the young people during Martin Luther King's day when he was out there trying to change and get that shift for equal rights, and the young people were very engaged in that. Now you've got the young people, peace in the Middle East, let's go to Hamas and Israel. The young people in the college campuses are pretty much saying, heck no.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might sound cynical. This might sound about. I gotta go there because there's some you just said. I didn't even think about it till you just said what you said. And I guess because we've been talking about the '60s a little bit too. Long story short, from high school, I was an ardent student of Vietnam, the Vietnam War. Okay.
Yep.
We had veterans that came back home. Everybody saw veterans, new veterans, and we saw the effects on these veterans. So I took an interest in it. And when I look at those 1960s Democrats, oh, we're anti-war, we're anti-blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. You weren't anti-war. You didn't care about young blacks being sent over there and being haul killed and shot up. You didn't want to go.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
was it.
Absolutely.
And these are the offspring of those grandparents back then. We don't want to go. Hell no, we don't want to go. These are the same ones because these are the same ones. Look at where they are now. They're not coming. They're not protesters coming from middle income protesters coming from the farms. They're a bunch of elite college students.
Bill Clinton,
Bill Clinton, thank you.
Bush, all them guys
All them.
figured out ways to keep from going to the war.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these little brats, they're just using their intellectualisms to protest. Unlike Clinton, who ran off to Rhodes to run after the way what Oxford or wherever.
Yeah,
And
he was a
unlike
Rhodes
Bush,
Scholar.
he was a
Yeah.
Rhodes Scholar. Unlike Bush, who decided to join the Air National Guard in Texas, Major Bush.
Yeah.
These kids, they don't want to do that. They don't have to do that. All I'm gonna do is get up there, protest. They have a better idea today as to how to push the political button, and they know how to use the narrative. They got social media. Half these kids got more followers than Jesus Christ, so they know how to push the narrative, and that's what they're doing. But they don't give a damn about Hamas and Israel. What they're worried about is that theater blowing up, and they're getting dragged into it. That's what they're thinking about. They don't care about it. That is a constant with all these brats going probably back to Korea. They don't care. They're out there making just like these are the same brats that were marching up and down 10th and Peachtree and 10th and Piedmont in these BLM protests. You look at them BLM protests, 75% of the damn crowd's white. Them same college students. I witnessed them for myself. So now they got themselves another protest. They were the damn, what was it, organized democracy? What is it? Democracy, whatever. They were marching in that. They're marching in BLM. They're marching in this. They just protest anything that is going to attack their position. They're going to protest against, which you should. But my point is, you need to vet the narrative and vet who is coming from. So when I see all these young heads out there, go, oh, what the hell you know about Hamas? Do you know what it means?
Well, most of us did not understand the whole Hamas, and in fact, the framing is Hamas Israeli versus Israel versus Palestine, and that's purposeful because of what we're seeing in the news media, on social media, the what's happening with those people in Palestine. So they're moving it, even though they're being blown up just the same. They're claiming that Netanyahu is justified. He's justified, and I hate that because even though and yes,
First of all, Hamas was a political party elected to run Palestine.
yeah,
And America and a few other countries label Hamas, if you will, a terrorist organization when there's only a group of them. There is a side group of them, the same way that maybe some of the people on January 6th stormed the Capitol. It wasn't everybody, but it was a small group of them who might have gone in there. Now, update. Egypt just told on Netanyahu, said they had already informed Netanyahu several days before the deal came down, and Netanyahu said, go away. I don't need to know those kind of facts. I don't need to get ready for those kind of facts. And why is that important? Because that's how Israel came into being in the first place. I'm going to call them the terrorists, Ben Gurion and the first prime minister of Israel.
It's documented. The scholars call him a terrorist.
They went and killed their own people just so they could get a war started. And so this Netanyahu thing looked identical to that same play that they did there. That's the only way they can get America in this fight, to do what they really want to do, and that's level Gaza and make it their own when the smoke clears. So you let them go and kill a few helpless individuals at a party, and it's worth losing 1,000 if I can gain what I'm going to gain.
And what are they going to gain?
They're going to gain land. They're going to gain power. They're going to gain more money. That's what they're going to gain.
They being who specifically?
Netanyahu and his power brokers and by the way, the Zionists. That's who's going to gain. The political arm, the Zionists. Is who's going to gain, because half of the people in Israel, they are out there on the beach somewhere on the other side where ain't nothing going on their side. They act like they don't even want to know what's going on. You see?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I'm going to kind of take us back to the Speaker of the House, and then we're going to go on to talk about Trump. But the Speaker of the House right now is, I think, one of his proposals for funding Israel is to pull that money from the IRS, dollars allocated to the IRS.
Man, and who do you think? Why do you think he's making that move? Why do you think he would pull money from the IRS? Because there's a bill before the House to go after rich folk to collect their fair share of money, and if he does that, he's probably rich. I don't know his net worth. More than likely. Most of the legislators get to be millionaires, whether or not they came in that way or not. So he's looking out for his own personal interests as opposed to doing something that's value to the.
Just like the Supreme Court, I believe when these people rise and get into these positions, they do have their marching orders, and there is a Project 24 plan for the conservatives that pretty much gives them the blueprint for what needs to happen and where the negotiations need to be. And if you're not on that plan, McCarthy, completely without any shame, you are out, and that's what happened. And
you ever interviewed for a job, and somebody told you, now when you go in there, this is what you better do?
Yes.
These guys know what to say when they go in there.
Exactly.
And once they get there, shoot, the ball game is on. You know, all they want to do is get in.
No, I'm going to take.
So how in the world did a nobody, like even Susan Collins said, who? When they said the new Speaker of the House is, and her response was, who is that? How in the world does somebody like that ascend? How did that happen?
First of all, you got to stop using the TV as a gauge for who is and who ain't.
Yes.
Because you're going to miss some important parts. Because they're not in the news every day does not mean that they're still not behind the scenes. And somebody's already pointed out that his whole MO is he does things secretly behind your back and then comes out and smiles like he's Joe America. Right. So he could be working behind the scenes, being somebody pretty important.
Yes.
You see, being somebody pretty important, and they might have said, look, he's the guy. It's kind of like I was in my track team. I'll tell you a short story. In my track team, they had this like Christian Athlete of the Year, and everybody looked around and thought, I can't do it because I'm bad. And they turned to me and went like, but he's the least, he's the least one doing bad stuff. So we're gonna pick him to go represent. And that could have been as simple as what it was.
I
You
think
get
it
the
was.
least of that's gonna bring you some trouble that won't give you a lot of pushback. But yeah, you cannot use TV as your measure for who is and who
Yeah,
ain't strong.
I agree with that, and I hope the listening audience really does hear that because I think that's an important point. But
Mhm.
last thing on him, he's got a black kid.
What do you mean he got a black
Like,
kid?
what, born out of wedlock or something?
No.
He adopted.
It's kind of
Adopted?
like one
No,
of those
he's
Michael
a black.
Moore kind of stories.
Okay,
Um,
okay. And your point.
they adopted a
Okay.
black son, adopted, and don't even know what that means. But when you look at his family pictures, and Karen Hunter kind of came up with this one, when you look at the family pictures, although he has stories that he's talked about his black son, you don't see him in the pictures, photographs at all. None of them. It's just lily white family.
So I'll just touch on it for like 22 seconds.
Okay.
Only because you mentioned Karen Hunter, I have the hots for her. Anyway,
That is being taped.
if I give you five, if I show you,
Calm down, Alton. Come on.
I'm good. I just to put it out there. Just so, anyway, if I put 5 pictures in front of you on this screen, does that mean that there are 200 pictures that do not exist with this black kid with his family?
See, back to the media
That's
control.
back to the media.
back to the media control.
And I want to let Mona get in because I talk too much. But long story short, when it comes to I'm very suspect now. If it shows up on a digital screen in 4 corners, I don't trust it until I verify it. And if you're going to show me, see, he ain't got no black kids. His black son's not there. His black son's in the other 195 pictures, and I bet you one of his white kids are probably missing too.
Except they're not. None.
Okay, right. But all I'm saying is,
yeah,
I don't.
Good girl, Karen Hunter did the search. She was looking for this before
Okay, and here's my other thing too, on the bigger picture here. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm asking myself, how does this expenditure of resource give me any more political or financial power? And that's something I want to get to later. I want to let Mona jump in because I talk too much.
All right, Mona, what's up? Mona.
No. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I want to know, is he a Christian or is he a Mormon? Is he
Christian.
Mormon?
Evangelical. So that's Christian. Okay.
That's hardcore.
That's the jihad of Christianity. I mean, I think almost.
Just
Yeah,
about.
Yeah, that kind of thing like that.
Well,
He's very fundamental.
well, the only thing the Mormons are fundamentals too, and I've been doing a lot of study on these people, and oh my God! But the only thing I heard him say about his son, I saw him do an interview, and he was talking about reparation, and he says, and I asked my son, and that's how I found out he had a black son.
Yeah.
What did he think about reparation? And his son told him, I'm thinking his son has got to be above 20.
Yeah.
No, that we shouldn't get represent. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, if he was raised by you, what do he know? He probably don't even know his history.
What's that old Bible verse? Teach a child when he's young,
I was
so
like,
he will go in the ways that you teach him.
Well, not
Yeah, that's easy. That's too easy a sale. I
Yeah.
think I'll teach. I think I'll ask the guy I taught.
Let me ask what my son thinks.
Shit.
Yeah, so I don't know about Johnson. I haven't felt him out yet. I tuned out from the speaker nonsense weeks ago, and my thing is this: unless Congress is going to generate some bond issues that the markets can turn around and sell, I don't give a damn what they do.
All right.
I mean, you got to melt Congress down to what its job is, and its job is to tax you.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna move on. It's 8:05, and I do want to give us some time to talk about this Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that allows, I guess, voters and people in various states to keep Trump off the the list for candidates in their state. So the voters list. So Alton, I would like for you to read that one more time. And then I would like us to kind of talk about if in fact they're able to do it, is that good for the country or not to allow
Okay, I won't give my answer first. I'll read it.
Read
Go
it.
ahead.
Okay, I'll read it.
Go ahead.
No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability.
So Colorado is well into likely removing him, but I don't know. So
He doesn't care. He doesn't care about Colorado because he wasn't gonna win Colorado no way. Okay, that's a blue state, so he's
yeah,
not worried about them.
we're looking at
But
several.
y'all need to leave my boy alone.
Yeah,
He
leave
has not
Trump
been
alone.
convicted of anything. You haven't tied him. You don't have, like with Nixon, you had the tapes where he just came
Right.
on out and said it. You don't have anything to tie my boy to anything other than him saying, look, can you find me some votes? Can you help a brother out? Okay. I need you to recount one more time because for some reason, I'm being told that I'm being had. Okay. So y'all need to, I'm just telling you, Trump is the man. Leave him alone. Okay. Now that's my take.
JFK did the same damn thing in Illinois. That's why he won the presidency by like
Right.
0.5%. They were so close. He had to have been out there saying, Bobby, give Illinois a call. Blah, blah. They all do it.
Right.
They all do it.
Albert Gore was the only chicken who would not push the envelope. He was the only punk. I'm going to say it loud. Okay. He was the only punked out and did not go and make them do that recount. Okay. And as a result, he called.
And had he won his home state of Tennessee,
those
11 electoral votes, he'd have been president. But no, he's too much of a Washingtonian to have gone home to Nashville and gotten those votes. So it's on you.
So you leave my boy alone. I'm saying Trump ought to be on every ballot and let the cards fall where they may.
Let the people vote.
Let the people have a say.
But the fact that the Constitution may say that he cannot be on the ballot.
Oh, it's in my interpretation, it gives Congress, after he's found guilty, the option of because it says having done this stuff. Well, you don't know if he's done anything until you put him in front of a trial, a jury. And say, yeah, you caused an insurrection. So let the four cases. Well, I guess let Georgia play out, and if they find him guilty of an insurrection, and remember he's going to appeal all the way to the United States Supreme Court. So yeah, he may be president, and in 2027, the Supreme Court of the United States is trying to figure this out.
Fani Willis is the last hope that the Democrats have to try to eliminate him from the ballot, and I don't think she's got a strong enough will to make it happen. You need to read a book called The Devil's Chessboard, where it talks about the McCarthy era and how they set up a very similar situation to keep the guys out from running for office because they wanted to control the political landscape. And McCarthy knew he couldn't win, but he smeared enough people and messed up enough people that they became neutralized. And that was what they wanted. So this is, like I said, Fani is trying, but I just, like I said, leave my boy alone. He all right.
I'm gonna go on Fani's team, but didn't Georgia use this same um I guess approach for Margie Taylor Greene?
That didn't work. Yeah,
If
it
they
didn't
did, it
work.
didn't work.
It
Yeah.
did
It
not
didn't
work.
work. It did not work.
It did
If
not
they
work.
did, I'm not too familiar with the legal theory they use, but Marjorie, and last time I saw her, she's having a good time
Right,
in
right.
Congress.
Well,
They
trying to have
dismissed the case as lack of evidence that she actually had an influence on trying to change and create an insurrection.
right, but back to Trump and Fani, I think that Fani is going down a really good path on this one. I
Well,
don't.
my thing is, and I know I'm out there, and at 60, I'm happy being out there, but I think black people need to this plumbing stuff. Fanny in court with Trump in this, South Florida. This is the plumbing. I don't care. This is the performative stuff. That's not where the power is. And that's what I'm interested in. I think my last 20 minutes or 20 years on earth should be about targeting a portion of the state, targeting their institutions, picking one and say, get expertise in it, get control of it. That's it. Fannie Willis is not, if she prosecutes Trump and puts him in jail for 10 years, who benefits? She does. I don't benefit.
Right.
I'm not getting any extra state power. She'll get a new title. She'll be the Attorney General of the United States, maybe that's what she's bucking for. But then if she's the Attorney General of the United States playing in the same rules of the state where I don't benefit because I don't control the state, then I don't care.
How did she get to be an attorney general?
Does democracy
I mean,
benefit?
if she was to win this case, and then
Okay.
she goes before the Democratic Party and say, "Pay me my tribute," and
Right.
they say,
Okay, gotcha.
Right, but does democracy benefit? I mean,
I don't care about democracy. We don't have one.
Trump came in to pretty much put a bulldoze to the system, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
He has done that,
Who
but
has? Trump?
Trump has pretty much put a bulldoze. He's bulldozed it,
Okay.
and him winning
Mhm.
finishes it. She's the stopgap, I guess, as you were saying earlier, to
Yeah.
potentially,
Yeah. Well, I don't see him doing that, but I'm gonna assume that he is doing or has done it. I would say, and I'm probably the only black guy in America who's saying it, because as the author of Take It From a Black Man, WASP need to take back their country. So what? That's what he's supposed to do. When you go after power, that's what you're supposed to do, as long as you pay off your benefactors. That's what you're supposed to do. And that's what we don't understand as a people, is that we're so focused on the collective, we don't understand that you need a few confederated lone wolves out there leading the pack and saying, yeah, we're out here to get our share of the meat, and we're going to throw y'all a few pieces to keep you in line, because that's how power works. And that's what he's doing. But we look at it as, that's not fair because he's busting up the system. Well, the system wasn't made for you. The system was made for you if you are willing to play that power game. The question is, are you willing to learn that power game and play it? Because the minute we start talking about, this ain't fair because he did that, no.
See, now, Jeanette, I see Trump the same way I see Walmart. When Walmart started out, small operation out of Arkansas, where I was, and they looked at the rules, they looked at the system, they did the market, and they took over the market. And people don't like them because they say, "Oh, they're too big." All they did was play by the rules. They didn't break no rules. Same. And Trump walked up into there doing the same thing. He said, "What do the rules say?"
Mm-hmm.
And he began to dig. And folks said, "Oh, wait a minute now. Nobody's ever done that before."
Right.
And he said, "But you could have. If you hadn't been such a wuss, you could have." And he had no compunction. He had no reason to hide who he was, because that's the way he's always been.
Well,
so don't be mad. Don't be mad at him because he was willing to play by the rules and you're not. The question is, when are you gonna start playing by the rules?
Well, he exposed rules because they've been playing by those rules. They have been playing by those rules that he exposed. Explained.
So when are you gonna start playing by the rules?
Yeah, but those are not the rules, really.
If they Alton, that's cognitive. Look up the word
It's not
cognitive
cognitive
dissonance.
dissonance. I know what it means. I was a
No,
psychologist.
you don't, because you just told me that you know he played and won the game. But then when I say that's the rules, you turn around and say, but that ain't really the rules. He didn't violate no rule.
Yeah, he because I told this story before. I won't go through it again, but there are the rules and then there are the rules, and he knows the rule.
The
And
rules.
yes, I agree with you, Jeanette. He's
Right.
exposed a few of them. Okay, he hasn't exposed all of them, but he's exposed enough. Or we should have some insight now or some thought into. Well, okay, I don't like this son of a bitch, but what did he do to get A? Because by
Right.
getting A, he has what I want. So how do I get that? And then he says, well, here's the rule. One, you find for example, you find the most prevalent piece of media instrumentation today, social media, and you work it at midnight, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and you reach out to your folk who may not have the most income, but they do have an internet connection. He went back, and because when that guy from Howard Dean, when he started to play on the internet, and when that other fellow, what was his name, Barack Obama started playing on the internet, Trump was watching like a vampire
Right.
in the bush, and he said, "Okay, those are the rules of media today. I'm going to play them," and it worked.
But it worked because he figured out how to play that part of that party that was extremely discontent. And
Why can't we do that?
Yes.
Why can't we do that?
all of those tools came together, but he
Yes.
needed that piece.
Yes.
He,
Yes.
he had to learn, he had to take their rules, use them, but he also had to take something else from them, and that is those poor working class white folks who were pissed off. And he
Yeah.
used
That's
all
true.
of that
Yeah.
to get where he is.
But I'd summarize that poor working class word a bit and make it applicable, going to Albert's point, to everyone.
Yeah.
Use their fear.
Right.
And that's the number one thing about it going. Yes, going. That's the number one thing you have to identify. I don't care if you're selling shoes. I don't care if you're on a trend. Okay, you have to find what are these people afraid of. They did the same thing in 1948.
And Mona touched on the fear factor in terms of what are white working class people, upper work, all of them. What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of?
Of losing what they got. They're afraid
To
of
who?
losing what to anybody. They're afraid of losing what they have. That's why they're called conservative. They want to conserve their whatever it is they got. And every day they're finding out prices are going up. They're finding out their wages are coming down. They're finding out that their job is being moved around. And they're saying, well, what's the problem?
And they're finding that the institutions that are allegedly in place here to protect them are the ones doing it.
They're afraid of losing it to you.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have it.
They'll live with black.
They're not worried about we own less than 2% of capital. They ain't worried about us.
Yeah, they are worried about their kids. Their kids. They're worried about you.
They're not worried. We black people could leave this country tomorrow, and they're gonna still have that same fear. They're just gonna point it towards someone else because the fear itself, the basis of that fear, has not changed. They're just gonna find some new ninjas. We got rid of the Negroes. Who are we gonna pick on today? Hey, those Hispanics look good. Let's go jump on them. And then
that's right, because when there were no black folks, the English was fighting the French. When there wasn't no French to fight, they fought the Germans. When there wasn't no Germans to fight, they fought the Italians. And then, lo and behold, somebody say, we better get a distraction over here. And they threw out the black folk in front of everybody in East St. Louis. They had a riot because they hired black folks instead of white folks, and that caused a whole big old riot. But the reason they did that, they wanted to strike break the white folks. The white folks was on strike. They wanted to break the strike, so they paid the black folks less money, told the white folks, well, you know, we could have paid you more money, but you see who taking your job. And so that created a deal right there. So we always have been a substitute for the real culprits, and that was the big money people. You see, and they don't even realize that. A lot of them, some of them do. Read a book called White Trash. If you really want to get the whole story,
Yeah.
White Trash lays out all that we talking about how the rich white folks kept distracting the poor white folks so they made them think the black folks was the problem. And at that particular point, Jeanette, poor white folks and regular black folks were getting along fine.
So tell me this: what did the Republicans use when they shifted and got the white Dixiecrats over into the Republican Party? What did they use to get them to leave the Democrats and go to the Republicans? It was all race-based. Everything was race. It was black folks.
Right.
The fear that white folks have is that, especially Barack Obama, he was sort of that next moment where white folks realized, like, hey, poor white folks, you broke the deal. You said that we were the ones that were going to rise, not the black people, and one of them's made it into the most important seat in the world. You broke the deal, and that's what Trump capitalized on, and it's all based on black fear. I don't care. They don't care about white fear. They care about black fear. But the people at the top are the ones who are keeping that pot stirred.
I still say that they put Obama was there just so they could stir the pot and get everybody excited. They intentionally put him there as a line in the sand to say, okay, it's time to stop all this black stuff, because they knew that if they could excite enough people, get them mad enough with that figurehead there. And as a result of him being there, you start seeing the shift back to where we're headed now.
Well, they pissed everybody. They pissed.
No, I'm saying the Democrats.
They didn't plan Trump.
I'm saying they planned Barack Obama, the Republicans and the Democrats. I'm saying the Democrats and the Republicans planned Obama to start where we're headed now. Like I said, Trump is just a pawn in the game in reality. He does not carry the power that you think he does.
I don't think he has power. I think he has a grip on a group of people that the Republican Party needs. And that's why he has staying power. I think.
He's still not gonna run.
What?
I don't believe it. And here's why. Like I said, he came along late. He talks trash a lot. Everybody likes a trash talker. That's why them preachers make so much money. They know how to talk that right talk to whoever your audience. And when I say trash talk, I mean you look at your audience and you say to your audience, here is what you need. And they're doing it watching your face. They're watching your body language. And every time they hit a chord and they see you jump, they go, oh, okay, I'll just keep on doing that. And that's what Trump is good at doing. He's good at exciting the masses, but he ain't good in terms of moving because he's not really the insider.
That's true. He's never been, even when he was out there in business.
That's right. They could not control him. Yeah, it's just like now. They're going after him in New York saying that he overestimated the value of his buildings when he wanted to sell them, but he underestimated them when he wanted to do insurance. And the lawyer that was talking about it, the interviewer said, but isn't that what all businesses do? The lawyer paused and said, well, but he got caught. So in other words, the answer is yes, that's what they all do. They inflate the price when they want to sell it, and then they downgrade the price when they have to go and try to insure it. So these are the kind of things that they play on a regular basis. And so they are now using those small pieces to try to slow him down or get him out of the race. And I think Republicans are going to get him out of the race. That's who I think. Y'all thinking Democrats are going to get him out of the race. I think Republicans are going to get him out of the race.
So what are they going to do? Have a sniper come and like shoot him or something?
If he doesn't quit, if he does not,
they're not doing anything. They're sitting on the sidelines waiting for black women to go and do their math.
If he does not go ahead and quit and get out of the race, they're going to find another way to get to him. And finding them might be that distraction that you're talking about. They might be the pawns in the game to try to get him out of the race. You know, that's what you got to think about. The pawns. You hear what I said? The pawns in the game.
Yeah.
Because right now they got no evidence. I mean, most lawyers will tell you they don't really have the evidence. They're pushing the envelope to try to get him in Georgia. They don't have that smoking gun. All they do is they can infer based upon what he said. They then extrapolate a couple of languages, and that's what they're trying to get him on.
Yeah, well, the TV shows that I watch, I'm just kidding. Mona, you got any thoughts on that? You got any thoughts on that? Is Mona frozen?
Look like her stuff is frozen there.
Yeah, I think
she's frozen here.
she is frozen.
Yeah.
She is frozen. So I think that Trump was an unintended sort of problem that was created in the Republican Party. That's why we see McConnell, all of them have gone silent, because the people that actually control things, they don't really have a plan with Trump. Trump was smart enough to not only use their own rules, those rules that you talk about, but also he snatched those poor white folks who, no matter what he does, will vote for him. And they don't know what to do with that, because they've always, throughout history, used that group against Black folks, but also against whatever it is that they were against. They used white folks have been used by people in power since the beginning of the country.
I want to go back. I believe
that Trump figured that out. Mona, you got any thoughts on this? Because we're gonna close up. So I'll go back to you, Albert, to close up. But Mona, any thoughts?
Yeah. So that was my thought. Exactly. I said that they're going to use the Democrats to maybe prosecute Trump to get him out, because they can't push him out, because if he leaves, he's taking quite a bit, if not 30-40% of the Republican Party with him. And I say that it's going to be, another civil war. So they're gonna use the Democrats to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Albert, I'm going to let you close up. I don't know why I'm going to let you close out tonight.
He's wearing red.
I'm wearing my red.
I'm red. Close us out, and understand we have an audience that we are trying to get to a place where they feel good about their vote in 2024. So.
Well,
see, she just shut you down.
No, he said Albert.
I know, but which one of you? Somebody said something, and I said I'll come back to you to close.
You told me you come back to me. I'll wait. I'll be the last man out.
Alton, real quick, and then Albert, because we are down to minutes. So,
dear audience, if you want to vote, just keep in mind one thing. On the spectrum of most effective expression of political power, is your vote the most powerful? And if you say you don't know, then you need to find out what the most powerful mechanisms are and exercise them. Because guess what? If you've concluded that voting is not the most powerful, then you have an ally. That's me, because I agree with you.
Bam.
Albert.
Okay. Peace to Trump. Vote for him. No. Okay, no.
Jeanette, don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so here.
No,
Go ahead, Jeanette. Go ahead.
No. Close this out.
Okay, so we didn't touch on it, but I want to go back to your rules are changing, and you got to be aware of what's happening now. 2 black boys beat up real bad, one in Jacksonville, Florida, and one in Jackson, Mississippi, by the police. We're starting to have more violence against us by authorities, and that's going kind of in the background because everybody else has their eyes over across the pond watching how Biden is going to go over there and take care of his people. So you need to keep your eyes focused on what's happening here, because those 2 guys got beat up real bad, and you got pictures of them. But there have been a couple around here in Atlanta beat up the same way, around the same kind of circumstances, all from authorities who are in charge of how you think and what you do.
Yeah, I'd like to let that be the last word, but I would like to probably pick up on that next time. So I'm going to put a note here. Keeping our eyes up here, or keeping our eyes across the pond. that's a pretty heavy statement
Mhm.
it's made. So everybody enjoyed the night. Thank you as always for spending the time, and to you voters out there, um, join us because we should have this conversation. Ciao.
All right.